Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series Very Clever Primates, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you are new to this series, there is a playlist listed in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 9. You're gonna do what, Scalan? It was safe to say that Ch.9 was not amused as we were escorted back to our shuttle, ready to depart. When I stated that I would be staying behind to assist this one human with medical treatment, the human leader stated that she wouldn't be sending a friend soon before she left, whatever that meant. Regardless, in hindsight, it really was a foolish thing to offer an outsider, but the idea began brewing in my brain ever since I began talking with General McCullum earlier. He didn't trust us, and he had no reason to do so. To think that there was only one human like that out there was foolish, and I was no fool. The native fauna of Earth may have been far more primitive in technology, but they were just as sapient as us, and, by the gods, I would make sure that we're not seen as tyrants. Ch.9 was the least of my concerns, however, for the High Command in all of their not-so-subtle glory had arrived. I sighed at the thought, looking to Ch.9 with an irritated color. I am going to appeal to the High Command to be allowed to visit sick humans to treat their medical conditions, I replied, placing my hands behind my back as we strode towards the shuttle. Ch.9's scales were turning quite a shade of orange, but that orange only turned to green as armed soldiers standing by a strange younger man in a black suit approached us. President McCullum stated that you wanted to help her daughter, he asked, his tone very matter-of-fact. Was this human the leader's friend? Had I not known better, I would have assumed that he was an AI. His movements were robotic in uniform. Clothing pressed to near machine quality, and the communications device was hooked into his earlobe stretching down under his coat. Strange eye coverings covering his eyes, leaving him looking manufactured. I was jarring to see, especially considering the life humanity displayed before this. The soldiers around him seemed to just be communicating with each other as well, providing minor security, if any security at all. Ch.9 and I grew suspicious. This human was different. Yes, I stated, looking at the human with mistrust as I approached the shuttle. I'm going to appeal to our leadership after what happened today in order to make a landfall once again. May I ask why you are curious? I asked. The human's expression did not change or falter. He simply stared at me from behind those abyss black eye visors. Sunglasses. Yes, that's what they were. English was hard. We all appreciate it, he said. Despite the compliment, his expression did not shift, his posture perfect. He reached into his inner coat pocket, pulling out a small, rectangular card. We already have established contact with Ch.9 and Ch.9. It's how we found out that you were here. I'm Agent Brown. Before you go, I want you to know that you put a huge load of paperwork on my desk that I need to fill out, he said, his perfect emotionless expression breaking for the faintest of smirks to appear on his lips. I blinked in shock. Agent? Paperwork, and contact with both high commanders of the scholarship and diplomacy. Who was this Agent Brown? Right, I muttered, looking at the card. It was simply a number in black ink on white, thick, pulp-based piece of stationery. No name, no organization, just a string of numbers. You are to say you made contact with our leadership already. I'm sorry to say that I'm a bit skeptical of you, Agent Brown, I stated. The general's paranoia, unfortunately, rubbing off on me. I wanted to be on my ship for at least a few days before I placed my life in the hands of humans again. On my trust. I missed my apprentice. I missed my bed. I missed my people. I was homesick after a day. It was somewhat humorous. What wasn't humorous was what the agent said next. The cunning tongue connives the mighty warrior to brave the mountain a brilliant mind needs to map. The agent spoke. I blinked. The human knew the motto of the Valon Academies. Each of the 3 castes had their role to fill. So it was a motto that ever-enthusiastic headmasters repeated to each other in giant chambers of echoing praise. I suppose we all needed validity that our work was important to someone, even if it was just overseeing a school to place young nymphs into programs of study and find them mentors. Regardless, the fact that this human knew this little phrase meant that he'd been in talks with our people, just like he said. Likely, such a phrase was passed on to him by High Command because, in truth, every Valan knew ad nauseum. It wouldn't be something any human would throw out and give credence to his claims. I apologize for the presumptuous and appreciate for the not-so-subtle clue, Agent Brown, I stated, my scales glowing yellow. If he had talked to those two high in command, then they told him that phrase was to prove that he had, then I found myself wondering why he had approached me to begin with. Funny enough, he would answer my internal question without me even needing to ask. It is no issue. I'm actually rather excited to finally meet aliens myself, he said, his professional blank face breaking further, a large smile forming on his lips. It is very hard to act as if this is an ordinary mission, Scalan. I've wanted to meet aliens since I was, a hatchling, did you people call it? I liked this human immediately, and the brightness of my scales, colored both yellow and white in relief, demonstrated that. Even Scaana's scales seemed to change colors, except hers changed to ever-growing red tone. Rage. Whatever could she be mad for? The human just explained, right, she couldn't speak English. Good enough. Scalan, it's almost as if you're ignoring her for the past rotation. This is Agent Brown, Scaana, I said, my scales turning greener and more red of hers became. Needless to say, I started to worry. Going native, are we, Scalan? Time for the quills to stand on edge. Keep your composure, Scalan. Don't upset the warrior, Commander. Well, he seems different from the general at the very least. He even said he contacted the High Command. And you believe him? Maybe this little underground bunker will have some blankets and snacks for you. Nailed it. Look, Anna, we kind of made quite an entrance here, I stated, pointing at the sky with a near-planetary ship taking a good portion of the skyline. Anna squinted her eyes, quills risen up, and she hissed at me. She hissed at me! The nerve! Scalan, I'll break all of your limbs and drag you onto that shuttle back to the ship. Mission over. We're going home. I don't care if you want to mate with this human. Get on the shuttle! She glowered. I glanced over to the human, trying to keep my composure. But whatever it was, my exhaustion or my urge to be petty, I sighed, feigning longing. But he's so relatable, and I feel our colors could melt so. And that's when my face met her fist. The world around me faded to black, and it was sleep time. In hindsight, I probably should have listened to my rational mind while talking to Scaana. It may have spared my face some serious swelling and pain. As I slowly returned to the realm of the living, my hand moved to the left side of my face. Cursing myself, that warm sting filled my head. My vision was somewhat blurry, but I knew the left side of my face would be discolored from bruising for quite some time. Gathering my senses, I looked around. My vision began to clear. The room I was in was very brightly lit, and the bed I was on was absurdly soft. Soft to the point that I did not want to leave. I sank into the soft, white sheets, where that fluffy, warm blanket soothed my roughed-up form. This bed was light years ahead of my own, and, for a brief moment, I thought Scaana killed me in one enraged punch, and Resh was right about the afterlife. It was paradise. Comfy, are we? A familiar, veiled voice called out from the corner of the brightly lit room. I sat up in my bed, begrudgingly, mind you, to see Agent Brown looking at some tiny monitor in his hand that looked like an awful lot like my own communication device. The room was outstanding in decor, bright, warm colors, large windows letting the light of Earth's stars shine in. I groaned in pain, rubbing my face as my nerves writhed in swollen agony. What did they feed those warriors? Trying to be. Why am I here? Where is here? Where is Scaana? That soldier that hit me, I asked, blinking, grinding my teeth to stomach the pain. Agent Brown shrugged his shoulders. I'm not entirely sure, Scalan, he said, his face emotionless as he played around on his phone. But after I explained to her what was going on, she understood the situation and reported back to her superiors. After seeing to her sprained wrist, she hit you very hard, he said, his expression unmoving. I blinked. What did he say? Wait, you explained to her? She doesn't know English, I said, causing the agent to shrug his shoulders, tapping away at his tiny monitor, unflinching, unmoving. I know, I spoke to her in Valan, he said, causing my scales to turn deep blue. Wait, you speak Valan? I asked. The agent nodded, the light of the stars shining into the night black hair. My scales turned a bright orange in frustration. Why didn't you tell me then, Agent Brown? I exclaimed, groaning as the strain made the swelling of my face pound through my head. He proceeded to chuckle, yet displayed no change in personality. You never asked, he replied plainly. I rolled my eyes, shaking my head. How did you learn then? I asked. It was at this moment he placed his monitor down, the man in the dark sunglasses looking right into my general direction. His expression changed into a knowing and horrifying smirk. What do you think we've been doing since you've arrived? Twiddling our thumbs? He asked, placing a hand under his chin, that smirk remaining. You think the Valar are the only species that can learn languages incredibly quickly under pressure? You Valar already provided translations. We just put it into practice. It's a beautiful language, really, he said, in the Valar tongue. He was heavily accented, mind you, but he spoke it. Humans started to look a lot less incompetent and a lot more frightening now. End of chapter. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. I just want to thank the T5 patrons and channel members. Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Australia the Dreamer, Tryagain95, Fudic Yol, Meridian117, Alithia, Jordan Bucksbaum, Angry Marine, Albard Gusta, and Barkey. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.